JoJo and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome. So I just had orientation for my PhD program. It was yesterday. I meant to film this video yesterday, but orientation was a lot. It was an all-day orientation. They threw a lot of information at us. My head was hurting. And then afterwards, my cohort and I went out for like some light bites and some drinks. And I got home a little bit later than I thought I would, and so I was just tired and drained. And by the time I got home, I was just like, let me walk my dog and take a shower and go to bed. And that's what I did. I've been tired all week, actually. This week has been a really like weird week. I've just felt tired all week. And so I guess like my PhD journey has officially begun, and so I want to kind of just give, I guess, a really quick overview of what orientation was like, you know, my thoughts, my feelings, because it was pretty interesting. And so, yeah, I guess I just want to talk about it a little bit. Yeah, let's just dive right in. Okay, so pre-orientation thoughts and feelings. I was really nervous, a little bit anxious. I was excited, and I guess I was just overall really like happy, because it just felt good knowing that like after a year and a half of being away, I was going to be able to see my campus again and be able to see a few familiar faces that I haven't seen in a year and a half, and you know, some new faces of people that I didn't really get to know while I was in the master's program. So I guess just to clarify, I know the vast majority of people in my cohort that are starting the PhD program with me. There's 15 of us, and I know probably like 12 of them. If you have or haven't watched my Whether You Should Do a Master's Before a PhD program video, then you may or may not know that some PhD programs require that you attend and complete their master's program in order to be able to apply for their PhD program. My school is one of those schools. So all of us in the cohort that are starting the PhD program this year were master's students who graduated this past spring. So yeah, I was excited to see familiar faces and new faces. Our training center for our program also got a new director this year, and so that was exciting. I was really excited to meet her. She's amazing, love her already. But yeah, I found myself really anxious, especially the night before. I was like really overthinking what I should wear, because I wasn't sure if like it was like a business casual type thing or like a comfy casual type thing. I ended up just putting on like jeans and like a really nice looking casual, but yet still like kind of business casual acceptable top, because it was just making me really anxious. Like I didn't want to be the only one walking in there with like jeans and a shirt on. I wasn't, but like that was one of my things. Like I was just really overthinking what I should wear, how I should do my hair, if I should do my makeup, just all of that would seem really insignificant, but my brain likes to overthink things like that, you know, first impressions and whatever. So moving on to the day of, I woke up, got ready, whatever. Orientation was from 10 to 4, and so I ended up leaving my apartment around like 8:50, just to make sure that like I had enough time to walk to the train station and maybe stop for coffee and some, you know, something for breakfast, because I didn't eat before I left. But as most of my friends and family know, one of my biggest fears in coming back was the commute. From my experiences before COVID, especially during like rush hour times, like I remember just being crammed like a sardine into those subway cars, like back against the door, people's faces and armpits in my face. And so I was terrified of that situation, considering that we're kind of still in the middle of a pandemic. But yeah, luckily for me, the time that I left to catch the train was a little bit after like typical rush hour time, and so the path wasn't crowded at all. Everybody had their masks on. People were kind of like voluntarily social distancing, so like if people didn't have to stand next to each other, sit next to each other, they didn't. But it was like a huge relief for me to just see that people were like willingly wearing masks and willingly social distancing, especially after like being in South Florida for so long, where so many people just did not care. Like What is coronavirus? It doesn't exist in Florida apparently, because nobody down there wants to wear masks or social distance. But yeah, so stepping off of the subway, I got a little emotional. I got a little emotional when I got off the subway. I had to take like a quick 2-minute breather because it was just, I missed New York City so much. I had not stepped foot in New York City for a year and a half. I hadn't seen my campus in a year and a half. I got to the city probably like 20 minutes before I had to actually be at orientation. So I stopped for coffee and I got like an English muffin and a cold brew from Dunkin'. And then I just stopped and stared at my school's University Center building for like 5 minutes, trying to keep myself from crying because I just missed it. I really missed it. And I didn't realize how much I missed it until I saw the building. Okay, so orientation. So like I said, orientation was from 10 to 4. We got started pretty much as soon as 10 o'clock hit. They handed out our binders. They gave us our orientation binders. I got a little intimidated when I saw this because I'm not gonna lie, this thing is thick. It has, how many is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 dividers, and there are papers in every divider. Policies and procedures, manuals, rules, a bunch of other stuff that I haven't looked at yet that I'm probably gonna have to look at today. But so I was a little intimidated. I don't want to show you the front because the front has our training center's like contact information and address on it. But yeah, this is basically like our Bible for the next 4 years. So yeah, I've started going through it already. I still have to read through a few more of the policies and procedures and all of that. We went over some of them, like the major ones that we're gonna have to know on like day 1, which is Monday. But the other ones are kind of just there in case we have questions and just for like our own knowledge and to help us moving forward. And so I've started going through it. I have to finish going through it. So obviously we started off by just going around the room and introducing ourselves. Like I mentioned, our training center got a new director. So she doesn't know any of us, but we all know each other and we know the program manager. But we all went around and introduced ourselves to her, and she introduced herself to us. And then just like one of the very first things we talked about was just what it means to start a program and go through training in a time like the one we're living in now. And so what that means for us and our presence in the world, and what that means for our future clients that we're going to be working with in the next coming weeks, what that means for how we're going to be interacting with our clients and providing sessions, whether that's going to be in person or over Zoom. Our program's still kind of figuring that out. Kind of like I mentioned in my very first video, there are a lot of things that are up in the air right now. So we kind of just went around the room and talked about, you know, our hopes for the program, our expectations, what we're looking forward to, what we're kind of wary about. And I really appreciated her giving us that space to talk about things so openly. She wants the program to kind of adapt and evolve with the time. And that is something that I appreciate so much as an incoming student. So yeah, other things that we went over in the first half of the day, we just talked about some like general mental health statistics. We went over some ethical principles and HIPAA policies. We also talked about protected health information, or PHI, what pieces of information fall under that category, how we're gonna keep that information protected and secured. Oh yeah, and then we also talked about self-care coming into the program, and how to ensure that we're holding space for ourselves, but also holding space for our clients, creating boundaries for ourselves, because the first year is your schedule. Your first year is pretty jam-packed with classes and practicum, and then clients, and then your externship clients, and then on top of that, if you're like a student worker, your schedule is pretty hectic and jam-packed your first year. And so we talked pretty in depth about just self-care and what that means for us. Someone even asked a question of like, what if there is a day where like we just need a day, but like let's say we have a client scheduled for that day or something else scheduled for that day, but like we just need a mental health day. Are we allowed to just take that day off? And she was like, yes. Absolutely yes. Like, take the day, just let us know and we'll get everything rescheduled for you, but take the day, which again is something that I really appreciate. And then we broke for lunch. So after lunch, we got into the real nitty-gritty of training. The second half of the day was where like so much information was thrown at us. It became really overwhelming. But like in a good way, like a good overwhelming. It made me like be like, whoa, okay, wait a minute, pause. I need some time to digest this, but like also tell me more, you know? You know? So yeah, we got into like the real like nitty-gritty kind of introduction to our training center that we're going to be working at. We also talked about supervision. So we're gonna have a pretty wide variety of supervision in our time in the program. So we're gonna have the director, who's our main supervisor, and then we're also going to have group supervision with the clinical program director, or assistant director, the assistant director of the clinical program. And then we're also gonna have like supervision, not really supervision, more like consultations with people outside of the program who work in psychological services, who are volunteering. And then as we progress through the program, our types of supervision will kind of change along with whatever service we're offering. So for example, for our first semester, we're gonna have psychodynamic clients. And so we're gonna be getting psychodynamic supervision. And then in our second semester, we're gonna have CBT clients. And so we're gonna be getting CBT supervision, and so on and so forth. And then the last thing we went over was kind of like an introduction to what our first day in practicum is going to be like. So how we're going to be screening clients over the next couple of weeks, and then the intake process, and then what's going to happen once we start sessions with our clients. And that part was actually kind of fun, and made me kind of excited and like anxious to get started. Like I started fidgeting a little bit because I was like, I want to do it now, I want to do it now, I want to do it now. But I can't, I have to wait, but I'm so excited to get started. But yeah, over the course of the day, everyone obviously had a lot of questions because we're in unprecedented times, and there are so many things that are still like really up in the air and that don't really have a solid answer yet. And they were really receptive to all of our questions. They did their best to answer them. They were very forthcoming and honest when it came to answers that they didn't have yet, or answers that they were going to be finding out in the next couple of days or so. And so overall, I'm really excited to start my program. I guess post-orientation feelings. I'm more excited now than I am anxious, which is good. Still a little bit anxious, but that's just like my general like everyday anxiety that I feel. But yeah, I'm really excited, I'm really happy. A lot of my concerns are like relieved, and I'm feeling really like reassured and supported already in the program. And so I am looking forward to the next 4 years. And I will keep y'all updated. Thank you for watching, especially if you made it all the way to the end. I really appreciate it. If you're starting a PhD program this year too, leave me a comment down below. Let me know if you've had your orientation already, what you're excited about, what you're looking forward to. Even if you're not in a PhD program yet and you're still in the midst of applying, or you're going to be applying soon, leave me a comment and let me know what you're looking forward to and what you're excited about. As always, like, subscribe, and click that little notification bell to make sure you don't miss my next upload. And I will see you in my next one.